Illinois with a huge win last night. Jimmy V Classic against Texas.
Thank you. Thank you. We've been waiting. I feel like we've been very critical of the Illini with some past performances, and they gave us something good to talk about. So, right when the game ended, check my inbox, text from Gregory. We got to talk about the big win against Texas. So that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion. Are we an Illinois podcast? Yes or no? We are definitively not an Illinois podcast, but we do like talking about Illinois, and we like how much Illinois fans like listening to us. That feels fantastic. They like us more than Michigan State and Michigan fans do. So we're a podcast of the people. It is what it is. And you and I were on the wrong side of this. I had Texas -2.5 and money line. I believe so did you.
Mm-hmm.
And the only text I got from you during this Texas-Illinois game was, I'm so mad at Texas after they blew a 10-point lead with about 4 minutes left. My biggest takeaway from this game, we'll get into like all the Illinois specifics in a little, but I think both these teams are very good. And you know this from last week on the Texas side. I kept saying over and over, even when they were getting these big, impressive wins, like, don't let me talk myself into Texas. Like I've learned from past mistakes with this program, no matter how good they look, they end up making critical errors and the ball finds the wrong person and they just fall apart in big moments. I think Texas is very good. I think Illinois is very good. I think these two teams are very similar and do still have some fatal flaws that might prevent them from going to the Final Four. Specifically with Texas. A lot of wings, a lot of small ball, a lot of guards. They have one star player and the ball never finds his hands, or at least it didn't last night. And he was cramping. That's Tyrese Hunter. But you can't tell me whatever Marcus Carr was trying to do was a better option. And they don't have a true post presence whatsoever. I thought at least Illinois has Dane Danger, one of my favorite players in the country. And even though Dane airballs free throws and turns it over a little bit, like he had his way with the Texas front court. So I know we're not supposed to be talking about Texas, but honestly, that's sort of where last night's game starts for me is Texas let this one slip. I thought Texas was the better version of these two teams, and then Tyrese Hunter was nowhere to be found when it mattered most. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think just looking at the two teams, comparing them to each other, I think that Illinois has a little bit more versatility as far as if they want, like you said, if they want to throw Dan Danger in there, they can use a big. If they want to go a little bit smaller, they can use Coleman at the 5. They want to go even smaller than that. I mean, shit, they could throw a guy like Matthew Meyer at the 5. They got options is what I'm saying. For Texas, for me, I don't know if their problems are fixable either. Like I look at both of these teams' issues, and for me, Illinois, they're having trouble taking care of the ball. And that's literally why they won the game. I think I can't remember who was doing the play-by-play on the actual game, but he brought it up with about 10 minutes left. Or the last 9 minutes and 43 seconds of the game, Illinois did not have a turnover, and they proceeded to make a run. Like, so if they value the basketball, they could be a really good team. Now, valuing the basketball doesn't happen overnight. It's something that I think comes with playing with each other and not necessarily changing the way you play, but just mentally trying to actually value the basketball. Because when you try to change the way you play by valuing the basketball, that's when you play out of sorts and you don't play your basketball game. That typically doesn't lead to good basketball. Texas, on the other hand, I think they're screwed because Marcus Carr is on the basketball team and he's going to want the ball and he's going to want to shoot mid-range fadeaways and he's going to clank them. And he's going to have one out of every 11 games where he has, 20 and it's efficient and looks good. That Gonzaga game, it looked great. Texas looked great when they were able to make shots. Marcus Carr was making shots. Tyrese Hunter was making shots. But I don't know. I'm taking a step back on the Texas team. I was a little more in on them than you were, but I'm definitely taking a definitive step back because I don't think their best player gets put on a pedestal or featured in this situation like he should.
Yeah, I talked myself into Tyrese Hunter being special and that being the difference. And he was cramping late, so maybe that's part of the issue of why he was so out of the action. But if Tyrese Hunter isn't driving the action, if he doesn't have the ball, this is the same Texas team we've seen for 20 years. Just is what it is. Really good backcourt, not good enough where you can have the ball in the third best player in your backcourt's hands and win games against really good teams. So I have a new thing to introduce to you. I'm very excited for this. I've discovered the Big 12, Big 10 exchange rate in college basketball. So you know how Terrence Shannon was just a guy in the Big 12, and then he
Mhm.
came to the Big 10, and now he's like the best player on one of the best teams, and he's going to be first team all conference. You know how Marcus Carr was the best guard in the Big 10 for like 2 years, and now he's just a guy. He's like the 15th best guard in the Big 12. This is the Big 12 to Big 10 exchange rate. If you take any decent player from the Big 12 and put them in the Big 10, they become superstars. And if you take any superstar from the Big 10 and put them in the Big 12, they become just average players. The only guy who might break this theory, Cart, is Matthew Meyer, who has been just a guy in the Big 10 this season until last night when he went in fuego, 8 for 10 from the floor, 5 for 5 from three, 21 points in 28 minutes after you came on this very program and said he doesn't like basketball.
Yeah, so he played in Madison Square Garden. Maybe he got a little bit of a bump of liking basketball. So
Maybe he just likes Madison Square Garden. Maybe he likes
hey,
the bright
maybe,
lights.
you know, a lot of people like going dumb in Madison Square Garden. It's a place where moments happen. Guys have moments, and look, he had his moment, and he had his moment when they needed it too. Because outside of that overtime, Terrence Shannon was struggling, like struggling. Now, when it came to winning time and making shots, spectacular. That overtime period by him was, you know, a credit to him and his mental fortitude as well, knowing that he's a big time player and knowing he needs to make shots. But he stepped up when they needed it, and you know, I think that we already said it on a couple episodes. Like, this Illinois team has talent. Like, they got guys. As far as just looking through the Big Ten, they got, I think, more guys than other Big Ten teams have. Now it's just a matter of, you know, cutting down on turnovers, roles kind of being molded out or, you know, carved out, and just kind of figuring it out. And I think they're going to. I mean, you know, Brad was damn near about to have an aneurysm on the sidelines yesterday with some of the antics of what this team was doing. But at the end of the day, they pulled out a win. It was huge win. I mean, Texas was number 2 in the country. That's a huge win for Illinois, especially coming off the last couple tough games they've had against ranked opponents.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments, key things we can identify from this game. Brad nearly having a heart attack after the Coleman Hawkins goaltend call, which I think ended up being a bad call. In real time, I thought it was
Yeah.
definitely a goaltend, but then I don't know how they look at that review and don't reverse the call. Coleman made up for it with a ridiculous skip pass, though, with 33 seconds left in the game. You know, the action kind of dies. Everybody's sort of swarming him, and he just sort of no looks it to the corner to Epps, who hits a very timely three. Coleman, you saw kind of the full Coleman Hawkins experience in this game. I think he had 9.7 rebounds, 4 assists, only 2 for 8 from the field, only 1 for 5 from three. He had the timeout that robbed them of a 3-pointer, kind of like big brain thinking it. And honestly, I think it was a smart move by Coleman in the moment. Just turned out that it robbed them of a 3-pointer. He had that goaltend, which wasn't a goaltend, but it's like he's constantly involved in a big play, whether good or negative. And you know, in overtime, I thought he was a little less involved, which was interesting than he was trying to keep them in it in regulation. But to your point, I mean, it's not just dudes though. Like they have so many dudes. I think their top 9 is probably maybe the best top 9 in the country. Can I say that? It's definitely the best top 9 in the Big Ten, but they're very there's very many different ways they can beat you is the thing. Like it could be Terrence Shannon, it could be Coleman, it could be Matthew Meyer just deciding he wants to hit 5 step back threes. It could be the point guards. It could be Dane Danger in the post. Like I don't think there's any team that has that many different ways they can point to and say, this is how we're going to beat you tonight. And we're going to pick at whatever mismatch we like the most. It's really interesting. And that's still missing Luke Goody. And that's still, you know, Ty Rodgers essentially did nothing tonight. His role is a lot smaller than you and I thought it could be on this team right now. So we got to talk about Epps off the bench, 31 minutes, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Sky Clark, you know, I don't want to make this a Clark versus Epps thing, but it kind of is that to me. Sky Clark, 21 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He did not play a minute in the final 5 minutes of the game or overtime. That seems to be a trend. It seems that Brad Underwood is just going with Epps in crunch time of every single game. Sky Clark is the starter, but when it gets to crunch time, he's on the bench. Do you think that's the right move? Obviously, it looks good with how Epps played in this game, but do you think that's the right move?
I think right now, just of what we've seen for the, up until this point, yeah, because Epps plays with I said it last night I'm like, this dude just plays with a different type of like shit to him. Like that dude really is not scared of anything. That's not a freshman, the way he mentally plays and his mental toughness in those games. And look, I'm sure there's going to be games this year, and I think this is going to be the case. Someone might disagree with me, but I think there's going to be cases where maybe Epps isn't looking the best at the time, and they go with Sky down the stretch. I think that they have the ability to see which one they want to go with down the stretch. And look, maybe they get to a point deeper in the year where it's established and it's Sky down the stretch, or it's Epps down the stretch, or they find out it's somebody else down the stretch. But right now, I just don't think you can really argue with what Epps is doing down the stretch. He's making big plays. He's making the right play, and he's taking care of the ball. So I really don't think you can fault Brad for going with him down the stretch.
Yeah, I think Epps has been very good. I mean, he scored in double digits 6 of the 9 games.
I'm so scared what that dude's gonna do to us for the next 4 years.
Right.
He's gonna make every Big Ten fan pull out hairs when he beats their team, and it's gonna be for 3 to 4 years too.
So I just think Epps is like a pure scorer in a way that Sky isn't. And I don't know if that's due to the injury or what. Part of me, I don't really think that's Sky's game though. Like I think Sky's a floor general type, make the right play, make the right pass, really good vision, really good handle, all of that. But like, okay, tie game, 2 minutes left. We need somebody to go get us a bucket. Then Brad's like, okay, let's bring in Epps, and he's delivered. I think he's had his bad moments too, though, which is not surprising, just given freshman guard. But man, I mean, he's shooting 38% from 3. Like I said, double digits in 6 of 9 games. This is the first game he played over 30 minutes, and I mean, he really, other than Terrence Shannon's performance in overtime, I thought he won them this game. Like they lose this game if Epps doesn't just come in and go out of his mind for the final 2 minutes. It's really frustrating to me as a Michigan fan, Cart, because here is the biggest threat to my team, I guess, although everybody's a threat to Michigan right now. But going back the last 2 seasons, it was like a Michigan-Illinois pseudo rivalry, kind of who's going to take control of this conference, right? And Illinois is the biggest threat. And here comes Daddy Brad killing in the portal, taking Terrence Shannon from Jawan, and then immediately following that with 2 freshman point guards who knows how long they're going to be here, but they're both ready to play right away, and they're crushing. Meanwhile, Michigan needs to hit the portal for a grad transfer point guard who stinks, and our freshman point guard's a disaster. Like
wait, does that? I thought we're all in on. I thought you're all in on Doug.
I have to be all in on Doug. And I've said he's a beautiful disaster. But are you like what I wouldn't do to have Sky Clark or Jayden Epps on my team right now? I mean, those guys are miles ahead of where Doug McDaniel is. Illinois gets both of them and the most talented.
That class roster. What Brad did over the summer was a masterclass, because that freshman class is crazy, transfers crazy. Like he did a thing.
That's why we call him Daddy Brad, right? Like, come on, he didn't not earn the nickname, didn't come out of nowhere. But yeah, I just said Epps won them the game, but also like stepping back, Meyer won them the game. And also Shannon won them the game. Like that's the beautiful thing about this Illinois team is like any given game, you're gonna step back and probably point to 2 to 3 dudes, and the names are gonna be entirely different every single time. And we could pick out the negative performances, like I don't know. RJ Melendez didn't shoot well. I thought he had very open shots and they didn't go in. Dane, 9 and 6 off the bench in 16 minutes, but kind of a messy 9 and 6. Like,
yeah, he struggled scoring on undersized guys.
Right.
So
not great.
I mean, I don't know. To me, they just got they got a shot to do some special things this year if they put it together.
So they went we got to go there. Sorry, Illinois fans. They went with the horns down in the tunnel. I got footage sent to me from Rob Doster, who was in Madison Square Garden doing live shows last night. And the whole team went with the horns down, celebrating this big neutral site victory. One of the biggest neutral site victories at any point in any season of Brad Underwood's career, you could say, was this game. Not exactly a act like you've been there before moment, but also this team hasn't been there before. Can we just say that? Like, did you love the horns down from this team?
I mean, you know not to ask me this question. I'm a huge advocate of acting like I've never been there before. That I live my life every day like I haven't been there before. I wouldn't have done it in the tunnel. I would have hit the D Wade up on the scorer's table, horns down, because I always act like I've never been there. So
it's true.
I love that. It would have hit different if it was at Texas though, like in that new arena, in front of all Texas fan base and whatnot, just hitting it. It would have hit different. But I'm an advocate for always acting like you've never been there.
It was a chippy game too. Like Marcus Carr was doing a lot of like pointing at his wrist. I don't know what that was about. And then Illinois goes horns down at the end. I just in general, I just want to say horns down is incredibly lame. Like I get it.
Really?
I get it. But I wish like collectively all of us in the country who aren't Texas people would retire horns down. I just think it's dumb. Like I think the horns thing itself is kind of dumb. But like
horns down. Yeah, horns down is kind of dumb. But I will say this, just looking back on good Michigan State times, 2 years ago in football when we played the U, the throwing up the U and going U down or throwing the U and breaking the U on the knee.
Yeah, break on the knee is nice.
That's nice. We do need like a new horns thing.
Yeah, just horns down. I've seen it too many times. I don't like it. But yeah, I don't know. There was some body language stuff in that video cart. I don't want to speculate too much, but go watch the video. Is all I'm saying.
Can you send me the video? I haven't seen it.
It's on the Field of 68's Twitter from last night.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you go to it to support the brand, but there was some body language stuff. I'll just say that like everybody in Illinois was all excited. The coach is jumping around, pushing people. The players are all yapping. And there was one player who wasn't. I'll just leave it at that. I may be on a little transfer watch. That's all I'm saying. You want to guess? You want to speculate on what I'm hinting at there?
Oh, Gregory, I never speculate.
You don't speculate. You just act like you've never been there before.
No, I just don't speculate.
Okay. Well, just the body language expert in me really picked something important out. Somebody didn't seem too happy.
Any college basketball player should be on their tens and twos, whatever the goddamn phrase is. Because when it comes to looking at little things that no one notices, you're gonna notice.
Listen, there was a little bit of unhappiness from one particular Illinois player that stood out in the way everybody else was celebrating in that game. Final question for me, Cart, if given the option, over under 1.5 games won in the NCAA tournament this year for this Illinois team, you taking the over or the under?
Over.
Okay. Is that an easy over for you?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I do.
They're gonna slay the demons. They're gonna advance further than they ever have, according to.
Wait, can we get a live reaction of me watching this horns down video?
Yep, please go ahead. This is thrilling watching. Did you see it?
Oh yeah, I did.
You saw it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Big eye emojis are out. That's all we're saying. Illinois fans, congrats on a great win. Next time, maybe we'll talk about why I'm still going under 1.5 wins in the NCAA tournament. Little teaser for next time. Congrats, Illinois. Great win.